Okay, the dilemma is this knife here, it is not functional. Let me see here. Not functional. Push the button and let me go with this thing. Okay, push the button, nothing happens. I just sold this to a girl who got into knife collecting, and I don't really sell knives. She was a friend, but it looked like it was in pretty good shape, and it's not working. So, kind of embarrassed about that. So I'm gonna see if I could piece something together, make a functional knife. These things are basically junk. They're the knockoff of the Microtech knife. So it's the same design, but the quality, it's not a Rolex, you know what I mean? This is a knife that had been functional. It broke in a series of testing knives to see what would happen, see if this housing was going to bust out or whatever, but surprisingly the blade broke. So I have to say that the design of this knife, even though it's not quality, is pretty good. So it's not working. This is one that is somewhat functional. The blade comes out. Oh, it locked. Okay. And you can see it didn't lock. Now it locked. So these things have a problem. If it comes out and doesn't lock, what you do is you pull it forward till the lock in there clicks, and then you're ready to go for however long it takes. So I'm going to tear all these apart here. I've got scads of these here, and this is about 10% of what I got. I'm going to play around. I kind of acquired these. See what's going on. First off, I don't advocate taking apart knives. I mentioned that in this book, Knife Mechanisms Just for the Fun of It, and we talk about knife mechanisms and all. But this can be dangerous, but I know a lot of you guys do it, so I don't advocate doing it. If you do it, sometimes taking apart talents up, always have safety glasses. And the best position to take this apart is if this thing is halfway out. So you'd want to pop that like that and make sure that this is loose, so at least you got the tension off the spring. But even so, there's a spring in there. These things can be dangerous. Now, this kit here costs about $50, and screwdrivers. This one from Harbor Freight costs quite a bit less, and I thought we'd take a look at this one here. It's easy open. So the thing I like about these is the tip is magnetic. So the bits are held in there, and they won't fall out, and they're fairly sturdily made. And I'm holding on to this thing so it doesn't come flying apart. Okay, now let's see what we got here. Okay. That came out. This thing is under tension. Alright. Okay, so I haven't really got into these. This is something for the next book, but this pivoting latch here is what holds it up, and you can see when that comes up, this is going to flip over. For some reason this thing wasn't disengaging. Okay, this is the protrusion that flips this little lock back. Okay, you can see that likewise this has a sort of a bevel to it right here. So this bevel works the way this bevel does in reverse. Okay, what I think is happening is this thing is up. There you go. So this thing got moved up somehow, and as you can see, that's banging on that. So we'll get a close-up of that. There, it's working fine. Okay, the problem is that this little lock here is a little bit too proud to get underneath this part of the slide switch. So when this thing moves back, this thing won't go under there. The knife must have got jiggled around and the tolerances are too weak, so I'm banging against this, okay, and it won't go back. It is stuck. Okay, just pushing it down now. Now we can see that it does function. And this sort of ramp here is the thing that'll push it in, and that's actuated by this slide button, sort of with this stair step on here, which this button sticks onto this little tab. So that's the problem. Back here you can see that this has a ramp also, and this ramps against this lock here. This is on a spring, same as the one up front, and this moves out of the way, so that's functional that way. And that seems to be the problem with, I've seen most of these knives have trouble when they're extended or out or deployed as opposed to when they're in. So I'm going to get on, I've got about 100 of these, and I'm doing a little research on how they malfunction. I also got to do a little research on how they work, because I want to really nail it down and beat this mechanism to death in the next book. So what I'm going to do now is take this blade out, which is a good blade, and I'm going to put it in this other knife with the broken off blade that I sacrificed for the science of knife mechanisms, and come up with a functional knife. And I could present this to the young lady who starting her knife collection. She started out with slip joints, about 5 or 6 slip joints, case and different ones, and then I introduced her to automatics, and she's freaking out. She never knew the other half of the world. So she's becoming an aficionado like the rest of us. So got this thing disassembled, and there's the broken off blade from one, and here's the other blade intact. They're both the same style knives. They just slip out the front once you take the this sliding spring carriage off here. Okay, this one's got the spring sort of popped out, so we got to fix that. This is the body had the broken blade. I slipped a new blade in, and it goes right in front, and you'll get it down there and it'll stop. You can't get it any further because this catch here is in the way. So you got to move this catch out of the way, and then you can slide it in. Okay, maybe you can appreciate now that this catch is flattened down. It's not sticking out, so now the blade can slide past it. Okay, we're going to put the spring on, the slide assembly. This little tab is what the button attaches to. So we'll put that in there, and now that the blade is free to travel, so it won't be under tension when we put it back together. And we could test it now with the top handle off, but I'll hold off on that just for safety's sake. And I sure as hell can't do that safely holding the camera and trying to manipulate it. Okay, use a new knife, and I put this together, and this was doing the same thing. Okay, I got the screws really loose here, and that seems to help, but I had them so loose they were popping out. I may have to go in and shave that thing, that little flat valve looking latch, so that it doesn't interfere with the slide. At least that's what I think is wrong with it. Alright, I'm going to have to show that girl how to do knife repair. Take knives apart at your own risk, and I do it because I might be what's called an expert. I've taken over 35 knife classes formally, and conferences, and been in shops with knife makers and made knives. So like the Mythbusters, I'm what you call an expert. If you plan on doing this, be extremely careful. Definitely wear eye protection. With this knife, if you're fooling around with it and you're trying to manipulate this thing while it's open, with this blade extended, if you unleash this spring action, this comes sliding in, and you've got your finger here. As you may know, the way a knife cuts is not by the sharp edge. In other words, it's really hard to cut yourself like pushing down. The way a knife cuts is coming across like that, and that's just the perfect situation. If you got your finger here, that's going to slide across there. It's going to cut you a lot worse than it ever would by just pushing down like that. Guys who walk on knives in circuses know this. They put their feet on a sharp knife, but they don't slide their feet across the edge. So beware, but you can still have fun with it. Okay, a little addendum before we go. Got this thing working, and it locks up again. So I thought maybe if pulled this out and bang it, so you knock that little sort of flat valve sort of lock that way, that'll work. So I pull this out and bang it, but then that's kind of dangerous. It seemed to work a little bit, but easier is just to get that thing that way. So do a couple, yeah, and we're back in business until you're there. So anyway, there's more on that later.